In terms of opponents, this will be the biggest test Wrexham Football Club have had for well over 30 years since that FA Cup defeat to Manchester United at Old Trafford in 1995. Wrexham take on Premier League giants Chelsea in the FA Cup 5th round, with it expected to be a cracking night under the floodlights at the Racecourse ground. Chelsea are expected to field a lineup worth around 450 million opposed to Wrexham's £22 million lineup. There could be a big upset on the cards, and like I said, it's going to be a brilliant spectacle under the floodlights at the world famous Racecourse ground. So today we are going to be previewing our game tomorrow against London side Chelsea, a game that a lot of fans have been waiting for since the FA Cup draw was done a few weeks ago. It is going to be a brilliant game today. I'm going to be bringing you everything you need to know about our opponents, how they'll set up, key players coming back from injuries, the tactical approach to the game from Liam Rosenior, and of course we're going to be giving my spin on how I think this game is going to go for Wrexham. Should we be prioritising it, or should we just be looking at this and thinking it is a free hit to do something really special? Before we get into today's video, if you're looking for the best Wrexham content, I say it every week, make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 29,000 subscribers. Make sure to drop a like as well if you do enjoy this type of content. And without further ado, I think it's only right that we start with our opponents, Chelsea. So despite changing managers twice this season, they obviously appointed Enzo Maresca a couple of years ago, and he left midway through the season appointing Liam Rosenior. I think Chelsea, by their recent standards in recent seasons in the Premier League, are having a good season. They're 5th in the Premier League. They're in the round of 16 for the Champions League, where they do play PSG next week. And, they're in a very good position to go and break into that top 4, having recently defeated Aston Villa 4-1 at Villa Park, which we'll be talking about in a minute. And like I said, by standards, I think they're doing well, but their full focus will be on the trip up to North Wales this weekend. Forget the league wins, forget the Champions League. That Chelsea squad will be fully focused on the game ahead against Wrexham. Form-wise, Chelsea have had sort of a mixed bag of results recently in various different competitions. You're looking at the Carabao Cup, where they were defeated twice over 2 legs against Arsenal. We're looking in the FA Cup as well, where they've had some really good performances. But in the Premier League, you're looking at the games, they dismantled Aston Villa 4-1 away in the Premier League on Wednesday night. And in terms of confidence in the Chelsea camp, it couldn't be higher, because, they're a team that are 4th in the table, both competing for that Champions League spot. To go to Aston Villa, a very hostile Villa Park it would have been on a night match, and to put 4 past them in their own backyard, yeah, it's not the result that we wanted to see, obviously, going into this game. But if you are looking further to the results, it's been a bit of a weird spell for Chelsea, and I think Rosenior's done a very good job, don't get me wrong. But if you're looking at the past 3 league games, they've beaten Aston Villa 4-1. That's the one that matters the most, of course, going into this game. But you're looking at their other games, they've only picked up a point against both Leeds United and Burnley, 2 teams that were at bottom end of the table. So there are slight cracks in this Chelsea team. If you can bring your A game and if you can put it on Chelsea, they're still a top class side who will punish you if they are presented the chance by the team they're facing, because we've seen that in the FA Cup against Hull City. Hull above us in the table, they put 4 past them, kept a clean sheet, so it's not going to be an easy game at all. Looking on the lineup and the injuries that Chelsea do currently have now, despite obviously Chelsea having a really big European game next week against PSG in the round of 16 over 2 legs, there's no hiding the fact that they're still going to put out a strong side. Yes, the Champions League is probably a competition they're prioritising more than the FA Cup, but they wouldn't get this far in the FA Cup to just field a really weak team. There's a chance to get to the quarter-final, and Chelsea, being a big Premier League side, if they can get past us, they'll fancy their chances of going all the way. So they're going to put out a strong side. We're looking at the likes of Moises Caicedo, Garnacho, Liam Delap, Pedro Neto, all started in the last round against Hull City. So there's a very strong chance that they do feature from the start against us. Plus, you're looking at the likes of Romeo Lavia, Cucurella, Tosin Adebayo, who didn't start against Aston Villa but did come onto the pitch. They're all players that you need to be looking at from the outside and thinking they didn't get regular game time in the last league match. This is a perfect opportunity for them to get a full 90 minutes under their belt, because they're more than good enough to be starters for any other Premier League side. So I wouldn't put it past them if all those names that I've just said do start in this game. And on the injury side of things for Chelsea, it's a case of players returning instead of players recently getting sidelined, which again, you don't see any players injured, but for Wrexham's point of view, you'd have loved it if a couple of key players might have dropped out, but it's more of a case that they're coming back, they're regaining full fitness, rather than them obviously just being recently injured and being ruled out of this game, which, yes, is slightly disappointing. Would they have fielded a stronger team anyway? They probably wouldn't have done, but the squad players that they do have is just incredible. Obviously, you can see it with the amount of millions they have spent. I think they've spent close to, I think it's £1.5 billion since the new ownership, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But if you're looking at injuries, Mark Cucurella, Jamie Bynoe-Gittins are both returning to full action. Cucurella did come on against Aston Villa, and Gittins is expected to return for the clash against us. The only sort of key player that would have been in this game and would have started for Chelsea that is sidelined is Estevao, but apart from that, they've got a full squad. Cole Palmer, I think, did come off injured against Aston Villa, but it wasn't a serious injury described by Liam Rosenior. I don't think Palmer would have played or started that game against us, but I don't think that's really news that we do need to be focusing on. The players like Cucurella, Gittins, coming back from injuries that, again, are going to play against us and are top quality players. So how will Chelsea set up in this game? I think we'll likely see Chelsea start the game setting up with a 4-2-3-1, like Liam Rosenior has done at Strasbourg and at Hull City, and now he's implemented it at Chelsea because they've got a very good team, they've got quality all over the pitch, and he obviously feels like that formation is, getting the best out of them as a squad. But you're looking at it on that sense, as soon as the game kicks off, as the top sides do in Premier League and European football, the shape changes throughout stages of the game, and it'll be our job to adapt to this and shut them down as much as possible, because they've got billions of pounds worth of players on the pitch, and in that squad they'll have the ability to change the shape in an instant. And it's like I said, it's our job to just make sure that we're reactive to that and shut them out and try and just restrict them in everything they try and do, whether it's off the ball as well, just compress them in the shape and just really get under their skin, which I think could be a good reason as to why Wrexham could go out there and cause an upset. Because if you stick it on Chelsea early doors, if you make that first tackle, have that first corner, have that first shot on target, then who knows what type of game it could be. I think the main thing for Chelsea is they'll be so strong in midfield. Yes, you're looking at them, they do only play that flat central midfield too, but in the midfield they'll be controlling the game in that pivot that they do play. If Caicedo is one of the two midfielders playing, we need to make sure that we match his aggressive side to his game, the aggressive style of play that he does bring. We've seen him so many times against some of the top teams, proven to be one of the best midfielders in the world in his position. So, it's going to be a big job for whoever's playing there, whether it's Zach Viner, Lewis O'Brien. We just need to make sure that we're matching that energy that he does bring into the team, because if you let Caicedo be at his A game, he's just going to rip teams apart, especially a top-end championship side. Rosenior as well loves his team to play with a high press, full of energy going forward, and like Nottingham Forest, we knew going into this game they were a Premier League side. All Premier League sides are going to be good on the ball. They will not give you a minute to relax on it, to make a couple of passes. And when Wrexham do have the ball in this game, we need to make sure that we are so effective with it, because if you're looking at possession-wise, yes, Wrexham weren't the best with possession stats for the first half of the season, but that completely goes out the window against Chelsea. Don't be surprised at the end of the game if you're looking at 75-25% possession or 70-30, because they're going to control the play, they're going to control the ball, and if we are being honest with ourselves, Chelsea are probably going to have the better of the chances and will be better going forward, will be better all across the pitch. But we just need to make sure that when we do have the ball, whether it's in the midfield, in the attack, in the wide plays, that we do make the most of it and do be effective, because I think chances in this game will come very few and far. Rosenior as well loves his wide players, whether it's Pedro Neto, Garnacho playing. They get utilised a lot in the wide areas of the pitch, and they're one of the main, reasons why his system has had a really good impact so far in his early Chelsea days, because, he utilises them a lot. He puts a lot of expectation on them and a lot of weight on their shoulders to perform, and, they might not have set the world alight, but they're doing the job in the wide areas. And coming up against the Championship side, the likes of Garnacho, the likes of Pedro Neto are good quality Premier League players, so they'll be fancying their chances against us. So expect to see a lot of action coming down both flanks. And finishing off with Wrexham, it's such a great opportunity to test ourselves against a very top side in Chelsea, but we'll be coming into this game with an injury-stricken squad, which is not what you want to hear, not only for the FA Cup game against Chelsea, but for future games, especially with Hull City coming up next week in the Championship. Parky has confirmed that Ben Sheaf, Matty James, George Dobson, Libby Kakachi are most likely going to be out of the game, and Broadhead and Kabori are touch and go whether they will feature. That is 6 first-team regular players that are out injured at the minute, which again is really bad to hear because it's such a big miss. We're going to miss the individual qualities that each of those players do possess, more severe than others in terms of injury-wise, but again, it just couldn't come at a worse time for Wrexham. We've been quite lucky with injuries over the past couple of years, but we've just seemed to hit a bit of an injury crisis, you could say, in recent weeks. In terms of league and cup games, it's not looking good. We're looking quite thin on the squad end of things. However, it's a great chance to just go out there, give it our all and see what can happen. If we are looking at opportunities though, it presents itself to Zach Viner, Ryan Longman, maybe even Davis Keeler-Dunn if Parky opts to drop Ollie Rathbone, Lewis O'Brien into that deeper midfield role. We don't know, but I think what is nailed on is we'll definitely see Zach Viner start from the off because we've seen Parky utilise him in that central defensive midfield role when he has come on in the past couple of games. So a start for Viner could well be on the cards. I'm not disappointed with that. He's a championship quality player. It's a new position for him, but we'll have to wait and see how he adapts to that. What a first game it would be to make a name for yourself amongst the Wrexham faithful against Chelsea in that new midfield role for him. I've seen on social media as well a lot of people talk about the priority for Wrexham going forward, and the priority for me, in my opinion, I'm sure thousands of fans can agree, will be to remain in the playoff picture for the rest of the season. But some people will want to see Wrexham go all out for this because it's an opportunity that we've wanted for years upon years. We've always dreamed of getting a top-end Premier League club in an FA Cup tie at the racecourse ground. So there's no point waiting for this moment, and when it comes, just to, see it as a dead rubber game. Not a dead rubber game, but see it as a game that we shouldn't prioritise because of what's happening in the league. Whoever's on that pitch, the 11 players for Wrexham will give their all. We expect them to give their all, and in my opinion, it is kind of a free hit because it's not the end of the world if Wrexham do go out. Obviously, we'd love to progress. We'd love to cause a massive upset amongst the town of Wrexham in English football. But on the other hand, if you're looking at this, it could be a magical night and one that will go down in the history books if we can pull something incredible off. Just to reiterate, I'm not saying it's not an important game for us, but it kind of feels like, again, it is a free hit for the players on the pitch. It's a free hit for the football club to just go out there and see what we can do, prove ourselves against one of the best teams in the world, and let's make it one of the best atmospheres we've seen at the racecourse ground for decades. Get behind the team no matter what. If they go 1-0 down, if they go 2-0 down, don't make that racecourse ground go completely flat. Get behind them because, we never know when we're going to play a top-end team again. We're not guaranteed to go up to the Premier League this season. We're not guaranteed to get them in the FA Cup. So get behind the team no matter what. And let's hope a big upset can be caused in Wrexham tomorrow night because, again, we've done it against Nottingham Forest. The motivation, the confidence in the Wrexham camp going into this game should be the highest it's ever been. Our league form is really good. Like I've said multiple times, in my opinion, it kind of feels like a free hit to just show what we're all about and hopefully cause some magic on the night. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like, get down there as well and click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 29,000 subscribers, and let me know your score predictions in the comments down below. 1, it's the FA Cup. You can never predict what happens in the Cup. They do say it's the slogan, the magic of the Cup. And 2, it's Wrexham. You can never predict a Wrexham game right. 1 week it could be 0-0, the next week it could be 5-3, 5-2. So you never know on that front. But let me know your thoughts going into this game tomorrow night. It's a big one. Hopefully my next video will be Wrexham have just beaten Chelsea in the FA Cup. Imagine how magical that would be. Until then, take care guys. Up the worldwide and up the Championship Reds.